What is the impact and effect of ZANU-PF's unilateral change of constitution to extend the term of the president on Zimbabweans? The unilateral change of Zimbabwe's constitution by ZANU-PF to extend the president's term would have serious political, economic, and social consequences for ordinary Zimbabweans and the nation as a whole. Here is a structured breakdown of the impacts and effects. 1. Political impact. Erosion of democracy and rule of law. A unilateral constitutional amendment bypasses public consent and parliamentary checks. It signals that the ruling party places power retention above constitutionalism. Citizens its power in one individual or small elite group of corrupt oligarchies referred to as Zvigananda. This weakens accountability, invites abuse of state institutions, and silences dissenting voices within and outside ZANU-PF. Civil liberties, freedom of speech, assembly, and media face heightened repression. Political instability and resistance. Opposition parties and civic groups are likely to mobilize protests, leading to crackdowns and violence. The amendment could spark internal party divisions, as potential successors are sidelined. International condemnation may increase, isolating Zimbabwe further. 2. Economic impact. Investor confidence collapse. Investors see constitutional manipulation as a sign of political risk and instability. Capital flight and reduced foreign direct investment, FDI, are likely as investors fear policy unpredictability. The Zimbabwe dollar could depreciate further due to market panic. Increased corruption and state capture. Prolonged rule without accountability encourages the ruling elite to exploit state resources unchecked. Public funds may be diverted toward political survival, e.g., propaganda, patronage networks, security forces. Ordinary citizens face worsening poverty as public services deteriorate. Decline in international aid and sanctions pressure. Western democracies and financial institutions, IMF, World Bank, may freeze re-engagement efforts. Aid may be redirected to NGOs rather than the government, limiting development programs. Zimbabwe's international reputation continues to sink, affecting trade and tourism. 3. Social impact. Public disillusionment and apathy. Citizens may lose hope in peaceful democratic change, leading to voter apathy and political disengagement. The born-free generation could see politics as a corrupt game controlled by the few. Brain drain intensifies. Skilled professionals and youth may emigrate in larger numbers, seeking better governance and opportunities abroad. This drains talent and innovation from the economy, worsening unemployment and poverty. Rising cost of living and social unrest. Economic mismanagement tied to political corruption fuels inflation, food shortages, and currency instability. Public protests may increase, met with heavy-handed responses from security forces. Trust between citizens and government deteriorates further. 4. Regional and international effects. Strained relations with the Southern African Development Community and African Union. Although regional bodies may initially remain silent, continued instability could pressure the Southern African Development Community to intervene diplomatically. Zimbabwe's image as a stable member of the region would suffer. Lessons for the region. Other African countries could view Zimbabwe's constitutional manipulation as a precedent, either to copy or to avoid. Democratic norms in Southern Africa may weaken if such actions go unchecked. In summary, ZANU-PF's unilateral extension of presidential term limits would effectively signal a full slide into authoritarian rule.
Greetings, the people of Zimbabwe. Hands vana Zimbabwe makadi. Ama Zimbabwe na mahle nai. Recently, we were making some presentations with the panel of Zimbabweans who volunteered or that I've invited to come and share what is happening in our Zimbabwe. And greetings from Sheffield, Mkoma, Novalensky Zungu. How are you? Nasi Ndrimataya Nai. Ndrimataya is requested by the people of Zimbabwe. And we only recognize you, Kanauru Mkama Flash, Mkuma Shapiro. So, I don't want to take long, guys, but I have this video that I was playing on the impact of bastardizing Zimbabwe constitution. Zimbabwe constitution is facing bastardization from a clique of ZANU PF people. Before we start, whilst I'm looking at some of the notes that I've prepared for you guys, let me look at, I need to stop this, it's annoying, you know. So let me go into what we will be talking in this presentation. So, you know, as you know that vanhu vaizi vatichimba dhirihora, vamwe vanhu vachiri kungofunga kuti ngatiimbei dhirihora. Tinoriimba guys, or by public demand, kuti dhirihora iro vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora iro vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje gara mudhiriho, vakomana vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriho, musatambe navo mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora vakomana. Saka ndo zvazvinenge zvakuita guys. Saka pane something wrong here, but I'm not going to rectify it now. Regai ndiri kuzvigadzira gadzirawo kuti kana handina munhu anenge achinditarisawo kuti ndakanaka here, ndapfeka zvakanaka here, ndakupinda live on Facebook here, and so forth. This is an informal platform where we discuss politics in Zimbabwe. I am going to play a song, and a song. First of all, we have got songs that are dedicated to the struggle of Zimbabwe, which we will be using or utilizing on this platform and other platforms. I've shared this music with those who wants to listen to very nice music by Simba. One Blow, very nice music. One song dedicates to saluting Nkoma Shepherd Yuda, a former prison officer, for standing against the regime, Zimbabwe regime. As I'm making a presentation tonight or this afternoon, there is a serious manhunt for Madzibaba Shanduko. What he did is not a criminal offense. You can distribute my flyers as that is not a criminal offense at all. So the police are intimidating or are trying to arrest him for the crimes that are not a criminal offense. Gomana. Zviri same koma Emmanuel Manu High Commando. Zviri kufamba ere mwana wamai tobva tati kasaruti kacho kuti zvinakidze nai. Saka we are supposed to enjoy this presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Those with questions, you can raise your questions here. I might be reading them and answering these questions. Black Gabriel, how are you? Blessing. Good afternoon. Ndaswera zviri kufamba here. Saka regai timbonzwa kuti mukoma vari kurova kapi. Mukoma semuna Simba.
All they ever do
One
is to
Blow.
and denying our faces. Their government is an abomination. I swear, my brother, no respect for humanity. Fake pastor who do not know God are made ambassadors to smuggle gold. Charlatans like a ransom. Uber devil, nothing angelic about him. J. Israel and crew, criminals with a Bible fake prayer so they can fool the evil regime. Oh, shameless musicians like Jah Praiser, Olivia, Gospel Mafia. You have no idea, it's broken. Broken to pieces, and Lutex prison officer, shepherd in UK. Zimai, gift to Salos, I forget cold time. Our country is broken, stolen and torn apart. Hand in hand. I do fought for justice. Girlfriends that made ministers. Corruption silenced our mouth. Yeah. Zimbabwe is broken, mama. Mama. Yeah. Can I tell you my story? Back in the day, this country was working. Listen, brother, in Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe is broken, mama. And can I tell you a story now?
Constitution to extend the term.
What is the impact and effects of ZANU-PF's unilateral change of the constitution to extend the term of the president of Zimbabwe? Ipapo ndo patruda kutaura nezvazvo. Saka regai ndatanga nekuplaya audio or video. And I kuti munzwe mese. I will be playing it and interpret some of the things zvirimo kuti tinzwisise tese where we are coming from and where we are going as a country. I think we are heading for the worst human crisis in our lifetime. We have been pushed into this human crisis by Gabriel Robert Mugabe. But where we are going with Emmerson Mnangagwa probably is a point of no return. We are going into a point of no return with the government of Emmerson Mnangagwa. So I am going to play this audio, play the video as well, whilst I'll be speaking, highlighting certain issues which are of political importance. As we all understand there is a serious fallout, political fallout within ZANU-PF itself because of the scandals that has rocked the country, a range of scandals which are an embarrassment to a very old political party that should have learned from its mistakes. ZANU-PF is a very old, embarrassing country, political party that should have learned from its previous mistakes and rectify whatever mistakes they did so that people can keep this trust in them. It's a political implosion that is awaiting to be seen in our country. You know, it's like ZANU-PF, it's a political party that is growing young and young and young instead of this political party to be matured. So we wonder when ZANU-PF party will mature, when politicians in ZANU-PF will mature. These people have been at the helm of ruling our country, of running our affairs for the last 46 years, and ZANU-PF has been formed, I think, 60, 70 years ago. When we look at the political party we call ZANU-PF today, we expect maturity from that part. Because people, they say, ZANU-PF by now, ingada mature is wine. Which bad things about ZANU-PF. Those bad things will be surpassed by very good things that we achieved by such an old political party. But today, that old political party in our country is an embarrassment. These are scandals after scandals after scandals, benefiting a few people in that part who are connected to that part. So it's a complete political implosion that we are witnessing in ZANU-PF today. Politicians may face calls for resignation if ZANU-PF was a political party in America, or a political party in the United Kingdom, or a political party in a modern country, in a modern state, with the democratic values, which trust democratic values placed within its constitution. By today, I think many ZANU-PF politicians may face calls for resignation. Emmerson Mnangagwa may face impeachment procedures. By now, if ZANU-PF was a democratic country, or even criminal charges, you know, tampering with the constitution of a country, it's a criminal charge. It's criminal. Kuti munhu zvakafana kuti constitution yenyika ikati usaba iwo woba, that's a criminal offense. Obviously you go to prison for that. So whatever is happening now in ZANU-PF it is a criminal offense that all these Ziambis are committing. You know, a constitution must be a scared supreme law of a country. So for someone to stand and read a paper to say a political party has made a resolution to bastardize the supreme law of a country, that must be criminal. That must be treasonous. So good, I don't know why by now Ziambi hasn't been arrested. We are talking of someone with a legal mind who really understands what a constitution is. A breach in that constitution amount to a criminal offense. So by now, Zimbabweans should be calling for the resignation of Emmerson Mnangagwa. I don't know why we are quiet as a country. I don't know why Zimbabweans are quiet. Mnangagwa should be resigning right now. Pandiri panapa ingaleta kutaura kuti vaMnangagwa vatosiya basa. As baba mavese manje atete peshe, I am getting there. Ndakataura ngati these 2 weeks ndenge ndiri pamba chikwara nemapresentation hanzi maswera sei mukomasha pano isaka moreya zviri kufamba here mwana wamai. Salute, welcome to the program where we are talking about what is the impact and effects of ZANU PF's unilateral change of the constitution to extend the term of the president of Zimbabwe. That is not allowed. We have got a video of Emmerson Mnangagwa telling Zimbabweans that no matter what, we have limited the terms of a president to 2 terms, none other than that. And akataura ega anyone anongotaura nezveku extend the term of president beyond 2 terms, that should be criminalized. It should be a criminal offense. Here, Zimbabweans, we are talking about the supreme law that governs your country, which is being breached by a minister. We are talking of someone, not just a minister, an ordinary minister. We are talking of someone with a legal mind who really understands the law, who stand and read in front of a multitude of people or the population to say we are bastardizing the constitution of the country to allow a certain individual to continue running the country beyond whatever. It's not just a term, but beyond whatever. Pakaipa fasi wenyika zviri kufamba gogo vaiden maswera sei gogo. So I'm talking about Zimbabweans as a population, Zimbabweans as a people, that by now we must be holding these politicians accountable, calling for Ziambi to resign. This is the first thing that we must do. We must call for Ziambi to resign for initiating bastardization of a country's constitution. We must call for Emmerson Mnangagwa to resign for allowing that to happen. We must also call for the 2 vice presidents to leave Zimbabwe for that, because we cannot allow that to happen. We can't help our ears listening to such hogwash of bastardizing the constitution of the country. So politicians by now must be resigning, or we must be impeaching the president by now for a treasonous move that will seek to extend his term beyond what is required by the constitution. And we must be charging Ziambi with a criminal offense. Sometimes tinema political differences now, but ndachikumbira dai tendai biti amboita look into whatever Ziambi is saying. Ndiye anoziva sections of the law aanokota achitiudza section yakati haibvumire zvakati, section yakati haibvumire zvakati. Saka ndiri kushamisika with the silence of the opposition, the silence of people in Zimbabwe, whilst Ziambi is standing and reading a treasonous document, a treasonous dossier to the people of Zimbabwe. Political parties, where are you? Where are you? Because you are the most affected organizations in this scandal. It's a scandal. Utakambonzwa wana Willowgate scandal, wana Nokzim scandal. This is a constitutional scandal. It's a scandal on its own to call for extension beyond 2 terms of an ineffective president, someone who is protecting people who are looting the country, people who are enjoying, few people enjoying the resources, natural resources of the country, whilst the masses are starving, whilst the masses are not doing anything. Saka, for that, wakomana, muripi, my political parties, where are you? Where are you? Because you are going to suffer the worst damage of your reputation. We, by allowing Ziambi to go unchallenged, my political parties, they are going to suffer, especially the opposition. You are going to suffer the irreparable damage of your reputation, because whatever is happening now will lead to 2028 electoral losses in the event that elections are held in 2028. We are too silent. We are allowing things that are not Zimbabwean in nature to sail through our ears. Zvichigara mupfungwa medu. Taimboti kare regai zvipinde zvibuda nekuku. Apa zvichabudi zvakugara manje. Sinking the reality, looking at looking at the state of the economy, what is happening in Zimbabwe currently. Zvakuita kuti zvisabude uku zvisinge now zvive ne-impact. Saka I'm calling to you, opposition political parties in Zimbabwe. What surprises me most is when we talk about the opposition political party in Zimbabwe, people simply point at Nelson Chamisa. Simply point at Nelson Chamisa. Everyone is pointing at Nelson Chamisa. Saka andisikuziva kuti Nelson Chamisa ivava ndio opposition chetere irimo mu Zimbabwe. Because I'm looking at someone just gave me a ring this afternoon that prompted me to come live on Facebook. He is saying, I am supporting anything that makes ZANU PF go. He is talking about a system. He's not talking about removing Emmerson Mnangagwa. Because by removing Emmerson Mnangagwa only, we haven't removed the system. So a caller this afternoon who gave me a ring said, Mkoma Shepherd, I support anything that makes ZANU PF system go, not that makes Emmerson Mnangagwa. He is saying, if you listen to my previous presentations from Chiwenga himself, he spoke about crushing the opposition sender. Anzi tino crash opposition sender kukwisa pakati pezviguna kukutswanya kuti tswa kana uriwe opposition. This is he was reminding me of what Chiwenga said, General Constantino Chiwenga, when he was referring to the opposition in 2018 after the elections, which led to the shooting of innocent Zimbabweans who were killed in that country for no apparent reason. Just ngotrama soldier ngopinda mu road with a live ammunition, firing indiscriminately at people protesting, killing innocent civilians. Those bystanders who were vendors and office mao vachisangana nenyere. Imagine trained army shooting randomly at fleeing protesters during that mayhem. Killed innocent civilians, people who were just locking their offices to go home after work. They were killed in that act, and this was the action or act by the current vice president, who was the then defense forces commander, who was the ndiakangari chama hwinya wemauto ongotora mauto kubva mumabharaki wapa pfuti nenyere kuti pindai muroad, go kill whoever you meet in the streets. And that person was telling us that he is going to crush opposition sender. Anzi kunotswanyiwa sender ukada kusimudza musoro. So we are dealing at people who are sometimes mobilizing Zimbabweans to say, look, munhu iye aitaura kuti anoda kutswanya isenda ndiye watoda kuita president. Saka this is not from Shepherd, but a caller who just gave me a call this afternoon, who was talking about Chamisa must go kunofudza mbudzi zvakataurwa naChiwenga zvikanzi atingape nyika Chamisa, he must go kunofudza mbudzi. These are the words of Guvea Constantino Chiwenga. He was instilling fear in people's hearts. Even during the inquiry of those shootings, Chiwenga was present. He was just seated there, listening to what people were saying, just to instill fear in people's mind. Comes together, telling us, kuti ngatipindei mustreet because we want Chiwenga to be president. Ndozvatarambwa nemunhu andifonera akati izvozvo bodo chakatanga ndo chakachenjeza. Ari kuti hanzi before they call for us to take action against Emerson Mnangagwa wavanova ivo ndo vakaisa. Hanzi vageza must tell us the actual results that the 2023 results. Hanzi ngatisiyanei na 2018. Tuda 2023 results. Hanzi vanawo ma results. Vakataura kuti we have got the actual results. We have the actual results. Saka vanhu varitaura kuti vageza titaurei the actual results. What were the actual results akabuda pa 2023 elections?
I'm just going to cook something and we'll pass instead of making some more. Okay.
Sorry guys, mbotari na BSM Battalion Sergeant Major kumba wangu chingorongoro. Adidi saka nyaya tiri kutaura panapa, this is a caller views apandifonera masikati. This caller he called me from Botswana. I'm not going to give the name. Anga achitaura about what he feels Zimbabweans must do. Hanzi, it's not proper for Nelson Chamisa to call for his supporters, the 2 million people who voted him, to support the call by Geza to remove Emerson Mnangagwa and put Constantino Chiwenga. And put Constantino Chiwenga. Saka ndo zvaari kuramba izvozvo. Hanzi Chiwenga na ED, they had their agreement, which has got nothing to do with Nelson Chamisa. They had their own agreement in 2017, which has totally nothing to do with the ZANU PF. With the people of Zimbabwe. They had their own agreement, Chiwenga and Mnangagwa. So for Geza and the other people to call for the population to fight, because there is now a breach of agreement between these two people, Chiwenga and Mnangagwa, and there is a serious fallout that can lead to implosion. But for them to call out for the population or for the people of Zimbabwe to come in between and fight one function in favor of another function, those are aramba. And this is but in Rukutaura, what this scholar was telling me, that agreement is further restrained by the looting that we are seeing in our country. So he was saying, good, Ajite, Hans Vachamisa, better stay away from ZANU-PF functional fights, because you cannot be used as a tissue. Kudanzi mimi chitaidza ikuti vanhu tipinde muroad tibvise Mnangagwa toisa Chiwenga. What are the differences? What are the differences? We marched, we removed Mugabe, we put Mnangagwa. What are the differences? Are there any differences from there? Saka anga achitaura mkuru andifonera maskati from Botswana akati Shapiro akuna zvakadaro zvakadaro ngazvimbomiswa. Hanzi kana kune people advocating for that, hanzi vanhuwo vatengesi havasi vanhu vari kuda kuti Zimbabwe isununguke, vari kuti Zimbabwe irambe iri in bondage, because the more yamuchaisa munhu ane control yearmy, that means hamuchakwanisi kumubvisa zvachose. We will go 100 years in ZANU-PF vanhu vachitambura munyika. So he was talking about these political parties which are now suffering damage to their reputation. And my political parties, SMA opposition, they are suffering a serious reputation damage, which is now leading to electoral losses. And the 2028 elections, there's quite a number. We don't expect impact from the opposition political parties now. Every day, I have got a tussle with the people who are drifting away from supporting Nelson Chamisa, who are seen as hopeless. So, Hanzi, there will be voter apart in 2028 in the event my elections ari kuenderera mberi muna 2028. Saka anga achitaura akati zvandiri kuona izvi guys zvakuda kuti tirambe tichiita sei, tichitaura, tirambe tichitaura andimaona, because kwatakuenda uku let's not get involved in internal divisions dzeZANU PF. Pataurwa zvakawanda ladies and gentlemen, but what I am saying tonight is to manage. There is a scandal in our country. We have got a serious scandal. We have got looting. We have seen the country's resources being looted by individuals. Those few people who are looting are the only few people who had made a resolution that Mnangagwa's term must be extended beyond 2028 to 2028, and Mnangagwa's extension obvious is unconstitutional, and a few beneficiaries in ZANU-PF, not all in ZANU-PF are benefiting. Ukaenda kumahuseko kwako kuna mbuya veZANU-PF variko vasingarombo benefita anything. Kana motikari yakapuwa maiweli vachipuwa 50,000 yen pamusoro kunze naimunodira fuel $50,000 nekuti vane magaro makuru. Mbuya vane magaro makuru vari kuzvisha vanoku vasina kuenda pararo is not getting anything. So a lot of people are furious in ZANU-PF. A lot of people, there is this discontent in ZANU-PF that is a time bomb. Which will implode or explode very soon. Saka tukuona kuti out of that we have seen ZANU-PF spokesperson Chris Mchangwa. Momtanzani Chris Mchangwa amenanza anonzi manizere chi vanhu vari kutaura zvikanzi kana akaenda kuhondo ngaatibuditsire one picture yake yaari kana kuti kuasembo point kwaanga ari achimboimbawo zvehondo kana kuti chi zvatinoona vana chinsingaira vachiita zvataiona vana chiwenga vachibuda vane pfuti vari musango, vana tongogara vane pfuti vari musango. Hanzi manidzi ngaambotiratidzawo pake pakabudiswa picture ya1979 akatorwa sutu amene ari kuhotera achidya kamwana kanonzani kambuya Mchangwa kaya. Saka you will find that imposters, people who never participated in the struggle for Zimbabwe, are at the helm of saying Mnangagwa office beyond 2028. So this is a scandal. Ndambotaura ndikati takambona vana Willoville scandal, tikambona mama scandals ese akaitika na Noxim scandal. This is a constitution scandal. If we don't rise up and stop this scandal, tapinda tight. Because by now there is a combination of denial. If you look at my strategies which are being used by ZANU-PF just to delay time or to buy time to get to 2028 over what chachaya 2030 imima amusina chamuchakwanisa kuita. So if you go, if you look at Mnangagwa himself, talk to him today, he will tell you I'm a constitutional, I'm not going beyond 2028. But Patoshka 2028, the people have spoken, this is the constitution, so I'm going beyond 2028. What he is doing just is a combination of denial and a combination of deceit, denial and deceit, so that he buys time. Patoshka 2028 anenge akutaura zve2030 iye mbune akutaura kuti constitution takuichinja, and iri kuchinjwa because ndambotaura ngati we have got opposition parties, especially in parliament. Triple C takaisupporta, tikaiforma, tikaita zvese zvekuti vanhu vapinde muparliament, but look at their reputation now. It is damaged because they are supporting the 2030. They are getting the monies. Ndakanzwa MP mumwe achichema achiti motikari dzatanadzo idzi dzasakara tachikumbira kuti tipuwe motikari dzekuparliament 210 vehicles dziri kutengwa naTagwirei for them. That's to buy them to endorse 2030 pakaipa vakomana. Hanzi W steps maswera sei baba Yuda muri sei ndakasimba mwana wamai. Saka you will find that vanachi Mchangwa now damage control just to minimize the negative impact of the 2030. Vakutaura ivo kutaura kuti vanhu ndo vari kuda kuti vaMnangagwa vaende beyond 20. Vanhu vapi? The few beneficiaries in ZANU-PF who were given cars, who were given money for fuel, who are driving GD6 vachienda kumakomba kumaruzeva. They don't care about you ordinary Zimbabweans. Saka urikona ka damage control kavakuita vakuziva kuti vanhu vari kuzviziva kuti pane vanhu vari kutengwa, pane vanhu vakapuwa dzimari idzodzi to make sure that 2030 nonsense proceed. Saka urikuona instead of Vanamchangwa to give us a public apology, they are instead giving explanations why they want Mnangagwa to go beyond 2030. Looking at what Chinese are doing in our country, there is no development that is happening in our country. This is the development we want Mnangagwa to continue doing. Because hakuna mari yake inobuda muhomwe Mnangagwa yaano developa nyika. Nyika is being developed, kana iziri kudevelopwa, rasi pagadzirwa road. Ukada kubvunza kuti mari iyo yakabva kupi? Yakatengeswa ma-minerals. Ndimuri kubhadhira ma-toll gates ekuti Zinara itore mari ipe road dzigadzirwe. Road hanzi Zinara yakatora 70 million ikapa a non-existing company. Kuchitsvaga company yacho kuparliament havasi kuiwana, but 70 million yakatorowa pasi. Ndozviri kunzi izvozvo vaMnangagwa ngavarambe vari muofisi beyond 2028. Bose vane munhu akadya 70 million yeZinara asi uda kubuda pachena very soon zvinenge chaputika. Saka by now nachitaura ndikati we should be calling for politicians to resign. We should be impeaching the president by now. We should be preparing my criminal charges for my criminals. Ziyambi. I don't call him a lawyer. I don't call him someone with legal mind. But the guy is simply a criminal. And more. By now, with all that we have seen from 1980, ZANU-PF cannot restore public trust. It's a political party that has lost direction completely, which can no longer restore public trust. With all those scandals we witnessed, do you think there is any Zimbabwean who was there in 1979, who was there in 1985, who is still there in 2025, can trust ZANU-PF? Akuna. Ukaona unatendai mavetera, vari kuzviti ma-minister of IT, what, vana vakazvarwa nezuro. They don't even know the history we are talking about. Instead of them listening to us, kuti vana, mbongwarirai zvamuri kuita izvi. ZANU-PF inokusiyai pangonyangara. Iri kuvasiya pangonyangara vafana. Mangwana vanenge ndo vaakuzara majeru. Because vanhu havasi kuzoseka kana kuzosekerera mbavhaizi kana ZANU-PF system ichinge yaita collapse. So the repercussions of this political scandal that we are witnessing today will extend far beyond what you are seeing. Natinini mangwana vana vachazhamba. Bosi majera achazara. Kwavachatiza vachenda tinovatera. Mari dzacho dzavakabaisa ma-Swiss bank vaisa ku dzonofurizwa dzodzoka munyika yeZimbabwe. Musatya maZimbabweans. Ndokana ndichitaurira maZimbabweans kuti musatya imimi. Hakuna munhu anonobhenga mari kunze kwenyika isingazikani the origins yemari iyoyo. Hanzi munhu wanandaura chokwadi chinorwadza Shapira, I salute you. Thanks Mukoma Lenton Bvunza wabaya. Saka tiri kutaura the repercussions of this political scandal yavari kutaura iyoyo. Because what they are doing is just safeguarding their loot. They want Mnangagwa to go beyond the 2020. Mwari havarisi rombe, mwari vari kumusoro kudenga. Mnangagwa haachembera. Zvekunzi achaenda beyond 2028 izvo hazvichabudi. As it stand now, the accusations of him kuti akurwara ane dementia ane say there are certain people taking advantage of his mental instability. Saka taakutaura tikati immediate crisis iripo. Let's look into it. Let's stop this 2030 nonsense. Urikuona zvakutwanga ndanchiverenga imwe article yandanchiverenga pandamuka kuseni. Themba Muliswa calling for Chiwenga's wife to resign. Those are their functional fights. It's like trying to divert the people's attention to immaterial things. Anonzi baloi uyo ya mkazi wa Chiwenga kana akaresigna, what does that benefit the country? So musaterera wana Themba Muliswa. They are just there as my detractors, people who want to divert your attention for you to focus on useless things. Imagine kuti mkazi wa Chiwenga akaresigna nhasi, zvoreva here kuti army yaparara. Pakasiya Chiwenga kuita general kuarmy, hapana here mwe general akauya. What does that benefit the country? It benefits probably kuZANU-PF. Saka musaterera. Uza mu WhatsApp group ndakubhoekana nhasi. People are discussing about Themba Muliswa's utterances kuti anzi baloi ngad resign. What does that bring to Zimbabwe? What does that have in terms of bringing sanity to our looted country? And imona imimi vanhu indira mumboteerera maZimbabweans. So I don't think you see how much I love that country. I don't think you see how much that country reside in my heart. Unoziva kuti kana zvichinzi mumoyo memunhu mune nyika, inini ndine nyika mumoyo mangu. Zimbabwe ndinoida inini. Asina taps chokwadi chocho vayuda muno tisimbisa zvakanyanya taneta nembwa idzi. Definitely taneta navo vanhu. But ndinoda kuti mutarise something. I want you guys to ambokutorai mutarise something. Imagine a small pebble or a small stone. A pebble is a small stone dropped into a still pond. I want you to do it. If you can, get a small stone, go on a still pond in a quiet environment where there is no wind. I want you to drop that stone or a pebble into the pond. The initial splash is noticeable. Get a small stone, go to a pond that is still. Get that pebble. Mkoma Elton Shto, how are you? Salutations, Mkoma Yuda. How are you, my brother? Lucky Meno, say, Bra Yuda. Zigananda izo. Thank you so much, Mkoma Lucky. At Gogoana, Aiden Rosie, thank you for staying with me. Because this presentation is very important. I want you guys to share this presentation. Let me say this again. I always say this. I benefit nothing. Someone was telling me, why can't you monetize your Facebook page? Why can't you monetize this? There is no reason for me to monetizing this. I don't need to benefit out of this. I need to put the message across to the people of Zimbabwe so that vanosimuka, you rise up, then we do one thing. Because kusununguka kwenyika yeZimbabwe, kusununguka kwevana veZimbabwe, kuguta kwepopulation kwevana veZimbabwe, this is what I fight for. I don't fight for kuguta kwa Shepherd Yuda. And I fight kuguta kwa Shepherd Yuda, munoziva zvaiitika imi. Kuna vanhu varipuwa motikari dzemahara. Kuna vanhu varipuwa 180,000 emahara. Ndaitadza here kuenda kunoti ndadzoka ndiri mwana wenyu ndakarasika chichi nonzi motikari nonzi 180,000 nozvivakira imba noita sei. I could have done that, but handidi zvinhu izvozvo. This is why I continue to fight the system, so that munhu wese ari muZimbabwe abenefite. I want every Zimbabwean agute. Kuguta kwa Shepherd Yuda imi muchifa nenzara does not make any sense. I don't need to be selfish. Those people those are selfish people. Who receive 180,000 emotkari for next door pake panogara mwana wipo pari kurara nenzara. Hatori kana sendi chari kunda yapo 180,000 chega ndi donate kana 50,000 notenga paracetamol uri kufa nepain paparenyatwa. Hakuna zvakadaro. Saka ndiri kutaura kuti selfish people, we must do away with selfish people. I'm not selfish. If I was selfish, I could have done something stupid that will shock Zimbabweans with, you dare what was. But I've been in this struggle for too long. I've fought this regime for too long. I've fought Gananda for too long. This is why I continue with the struggle for Zimbabwe. Ndakazonzi nemwe munhu zvikanzi unozati iwewe na mdara gandu India. Amuna kusiyana. Ndikati no, atina kusiyana in principles, but we are looking at freeing the people of Zimbabwe. I want peace in that country. I like that Zimbabwe. Saka ndakachitara, let's take a small pebble. Let's drop it into a still pond. The initial splash of that pebble is noticeable, but the ripples that emanate outwards, growing larger and larger, are what truly transform the pond's surface. Zimbabwe is a pond. If you are looking at these scandals, if you throw this ZANU PF in the pond, you will see all these ripples which are growing larger and larger. And those ripples, no attack kutaura kuti. Kana kutaura mimi kuti murukuda kuchinja constitution yenyika. People will see those ripples. People will feel those ripples. How does people feel the ripples? Video. I'm going to play this video ndikaiplaya nomboimisa ndotaura zvainenge ichitaura until tapedza. Ndoda kuti muteerere, ngativei pamwe chete. Ndoda kuti muteerere video. Speaker yacho speaker yenyika. Yes, speaker yenyika yadzoka nditi. Ngatiteererei.
The unilateral change of Zimbabwe's constitution by ZANU-PF to extend the president's term would have serious political, economic, and social consequences for ordinary Zimbabweans and the
Mazvinzwa here? Hanzi bastardization of Zimbabwe constitution by ZANU-PF, it will have a serious consequences on ordinary Zimbabweans. The economy of the country will collapse. And the consequences that we will face as ordinary Zimbabweans is massive. We are going down in a serious trouble than what we went through with Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Zvakuitwa naMnangagwa izvi zvine serious consequences ku ordinary people of Zimbabwe. Ndo zviri kutaurwa panapa. Ndoda kuti munzwisise. Let's go. Munzwisisai.
Here is a structured breakdown of the impacts and effects. 1. Political impact. Erosion of democracy.
There is political impact here that you must listen. Erosion of democracy. Kuti zvakuitwa izvi to bastardize our economy, it will erode democracy in our country completely. Zvine impacts. How to muteerere?
Rule of law. A unilateral constitutional amendment bypasses public consent and parliamentary checks. It signals that the ruling party places power retention above constitutionalism. Citizens lose faith in democratic institutions such as parliament, the judiciary, and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Concentration of power and authoritarianism. Extending the president's term consolidates power in one individual or small elite group of corrupt oligarchies referred to.
Andini muri kunzwa zviri kutaurwa panapa kuti zvakuitwa neZANU-PF izvi, hanzi the elite vakuda kuda consolidate power pa one person for their benefit, not for the benefit of the nation, no, but for their benefit. I'm going to replay this part.
Concentration of power and authoritarianism. Extending the president's term consolidates power in one individual or small elite group of corrupt oligarchies referred to as Zvigananda. This weakens accountability, invites abuse of state institutions, and silences dissenting voices within and outside ZANU-PF. Civil liberties, freedom of speech, assembly, and media face heightened repression. Political instability and resistance. Opposition parties and civic groups are likely to mobilize protests, leading to crackdowns and violence. The amendment could spark internal party divisions, as potential successors are sidelined. International condemnation may increase, isolating Zimbabwe further. 2. Economic impact. Investor confidence collapse. Investors see constitutional manipulation as a sign of political risk and instability. Capital flight and reduced foreign direct investment, FDI, are likely as investors fear policy unpredictability. The Zimbabwe dollar could depreciate further due to market panic. Increased corruption and state capture. Prolonged rule without accountability encourages the ruling elite to exploit state resources unchecked. Public funds may be diverted toward political survival, e.g., propaganda, patronage networks, security forces. Ordinary citizens face worsening poverty as public services deteriorate. Decline in international aid and sanctions pressure. Western democracies and financial institutions, IMF, World Bank, may freeze re-engagement efforts. Aid may be redirected to NGOs rather than the government, limiting development programs. Zimbabwe's international reputation continues to sink, affecting trade and tourism. 3. Social impact. Public disillusionment and apathy. Citizens may lose hope in peaceful democratic change, leading to voter apathy and political disengagement. The born-free generation could see politics as a corrupt game controlled by the few. Brain drain intensifies. Skilled professionals and youth may emigrate in larger numbers, seeking better governance and opportunities abroad. This drains talent and innovation from the economy, worsening unemployment and poverty, rising cost of living and social unrest. Economic mismanagement tied to political corruption fuels inflation, food shortages, and currency instability. Public protests may increase, met with heavy-handed responses from security forces. Trust between citizens and government deteriorates further. 4. Regional and international effects. Strained relations with the Southern African Development Community and African Union. Although regional bodies may initially remain silent, continued instability could pressure the Southern African Development Community to intervene diplomatically. Zimbabwe's image as a stable member of the region would suffer. Lessons for the region. Other African countries could view Zimbabwe's constitutional manipulation as a precedent, either to copy or to avoid. Democratic
Ndofunga mapanzwa apa mainzwa audio is talking about the impact of manipulating our constitution. We can be back on sanctions if this is implemented. If few people or elite in ZANU-PF implement this bastardization of our constitution. Zvakawanda zvataurwa panapa, which I'm not going to play back or
Zimbabwe corruption is madness.
ndozotaura ndakuta sei ndakupedza naye ndozoiplaya futi ndakupedza munyatsonzwisisa zviri kutaurwa panapa naye. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a joke. We should never allow the bastardization of our constitution. ZANU-PF bastardization of Zimbabwe constitution is just a pebble. When that pebble is dropped into a still pond, you will definitely see the ripples across the pond. This is what we're gonna feel. The people, ordinary people of Zimbabwe are going to suffer. Inflation gonna rise, and even regional bodies who won't be able to save us. This has been said by a very confidential person. I'm not going to say who did this analysis, but we are likely to be back on sanctions because of this bastardization of our constitution by a few people. ZANU-PF is just a clique. It's just a few people out of 16 million people. 200 million people are trying to make your life very difficult in our country. So there are key ethical considerations that as Zimbabweans we must come and see. We must see the accuracy of what is happening in ZANU-PF. Let's not wait to verify or for verification of whatever is happening in that part. Those people are clueless. Those people are ruthless. What they want is just fatten their pockets with the corruption. There is no fairness in anything that ZANU-PF does. There is no impartiality in anything that ZANU-PF does. When you ask them, they talk about privacy and they talk about privacy, but they ignore this public interest. There is public interest in the bastardization of the economy of our constitution. If we agree as Zimbabweans, the way we wrote the constitution to say yes, let Mnangagwa go for the third term, it's about Zimbabweans, not about few corrupt individuals to say Mnangagwa must continue at the expense of us. We know the repercussions that are coming after our constitution is bastardized. Conflicts of interest from our brothers. We have voted into the opposition, into parliament. They have compromised us. They've compromised our position. They have got their personal interest. They've got financial interest. No matter, they know that they won't come back to parliament again. They know that they won't come back to the council again. So there is this financial ties, this personal ties that will tie them with the ZANU-PF, because they are going to benefit. Remember, our last parliament, each and every member of parliament got $40,000 US And the stake is high this time because there is bastardization of our constitution, and the few who are in parliament as opposition are gonna benefit, and they will endorse the 2030 nonsense. So we have got this scandal that will involve even the current opposition members of parliament who are in there. They are like moving with the ZANU PF as an organization. We are in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We are in trouble. This is why I am saying, as Zimbabweans, we must now be calling for the resignation of Mnangagwa. We must be calling for the impeachment of Mnangagwa. We must be calling for the resignation of all members of parliament in the parliament. Make Zimbabwe ungovernable. Because if we sit and watch, vachita zvavari kuita izvozvizvi, mangwana hatichavakwanisi vanhu ava. Hatichavagoni, to be honest with you. Saka tiri kutaura tichiti zvaakurevei zviri kuitwa izvi zvebastardization of our constitution. Iwewe neni takamira papi? Where are we? We have seen calls for people to go demonstrate. We have seen a lot of things happening now in our country. We have seen ZANU PF spin doctor taking control of the situation. Muchangwa often employing sophisticated strategies to manage even media coverage. Zvatutaura izvi hauzvinzwi ku-mainstream media. And Muchangwa is trying to mitigate the damage that ZANU PF has caused on itself. Muchangwa even trying to put a lipstick on this scandal to his advantage, to ZANU PF advantage. Saka toita say, Sema Zimbabweans, where are we? We have seen this being spin by a spin doctor in ZANU PF. We have seen Muchangwa framing this in ZANU PF context to say, look, Imimi Mnangagwa has been doing very well, has developed the country, so we need Mnangagwa to continue. Isusu patakaisa 2 terms ataipenga. Notaiziva kuti pa 2 terms uyu kana aenda chasara kana pauya mwe president aripo, we will continue with the development. But because we anakirwa nekuba akuda bastardization of our constitution for a 3rd term, which is not provided by the constitution, can we sit and watch whilst a spin doctor is spinning this to his advantage to say because there is development? Kana vakakwanisa kubvisa Ian Smith, who developed Zimbabwe from nothing. Uyu chinomutasa kuenda chii? Haana kana road yaakavaka. He just resurfaced Beit Bridge Road a few kilometers from Beit Bridge. We don't want someone to resurface old Rhodesian roads. We want someone who build motorways. This is when we see development. Kana takutaura development, hakuna chinhu chinonzi development kana musina road infrastructure. Hakuna. Railway and road infrastructure, no the key developmental effects. If you come to the UK, unoona zvitima pese. If you come to the UK, unoona road dzakanaka pese. What we are saying is, kana tisina road, dzimwe nzvimbo hatikwanise kusvika. Chinonzi development chotanga pa road infrastructure ne railway infrastructure. Kana pasina zvinhu izvozvo, Muchangwa, get off. You are not spinning this to the advantage of the people. You are spinning this to the advantage of the scandalous president. As I stand, Mnangagwa togona kuvati is a scandalous president because he's allowing a debate that will bastardize our constitution, Zimbabwe constitution. And anymore, because ukadakona Muchangwa, he often attempts to spin this scandal, presenting it in a way that is favorable to ZANU PF, emphasizing certain facts which are false, which Zimbabweans, if you can vunza zvitaurwa naMuchangwa, ndizvero chibvunza muZimbabwean, anotaura kuti mudhara uyu ari kupenga. Zvaari kutaura handizvo what is on the ground. He's downplaying the things that are supposed to, downplaying kuti izvi hazvina basa izvi. Andimona, izvi hazvina basa, to the extent that fraud vanhu vakuona senge normal. Mbavha dzakuitwa mbinga munyika. Nenyaya yekuti Muchangwa is downplaying this. He's downplaying corruption. Andimona. Saka, whatever took place in our country in Zimbabwe, we must view it with an eagle's eye. Because Vana Muchangwa, they've been spinning this spinning corruption for people to think that corruption is the normal day-to-day business of a government. People think that thieves are mbingas in our country because they, to be honest with you, if you go to these mbingas to ask them how, where is their financial resource coming from, they've got no explanation. They don't know. Using the captured judiciary to seal a fate of fraud in our country. The judges being involved in these scandals. We have got a scandal in our country. There is this shocking wave of bribery, especially in judges. There is this shocking wave of influence, peddling lies. There is this backroom deals which are being done by the president and his elite so that they will become the highest or the richest people in the government, the richest people in our country, the richest people in Africa. These backroom doors. These scandals, bribery scandals. Judge anoputara unzi wewe ndikapuwa 22 million, ndokupa 5 million. Life yako yese wewe judge. Pane bongo uchawana 5 million eri. Onopa judgment iri influential. Judgment inosila corruption. Wano wakada kutaura hanzi matangirwa nedare. So if you see the evidence of all these scandals now is mounting, Muchangwa is trying to spin this to his advantage. Public outrage is now growing. Tikatadza kusimuka kuita yowe apa. Akusina kwa simuka futi tichienda. Because what I'm saying here must bring down several prominent politicians in our country. Several prominent politicians must fall because of all these scandals zamuri kuona ziri kuitika munyika yeZimbabwe. Wakomanaga. Corruption munyika yeZimbabwe. Twende epine corruption. Anditi mona.
Leaders for looter. Zimbabwe corruption is madness. I remain one blow, Mr. Blow, as I blow the corruption, mutilation. For my generation, hear me now. Shout out to Raspi. We have a mafia government in Zimbabwe. We have no rights in Zimbabwe because the police and them soldiers are corruption. See, we have no meaning.
As corruption, as kutangirwa nedare, apakaipa gogoiden. Saka, you see now what I'm talking about. Let's say, gentlemen, let me come to you in earnest. I know a lot of people have said, yeah, this is social media, this is what. They are calling, we have a ground, and then I was on the ground. Ndakabva Zimbabwe. Zvandutaura most of the things ndakazvona nemasango. Asi zvekunzwa. Saka murikona apa chatakuda apa. Ndikutarisa public reaction to this political scandal that has faced Zimbabwe. This political scandal, this constitution scandal is just similar to the Nokzim scandal. It's just similar to the Willowville scandal. These scandals have been ZANU PF's cup of tea ever since. Some scandals, ladies and gentlemen, in other countries, they trigger widespread outrage. This political scandal or this constitutional scandal, so pakangoverengwa na ziyambi chete kuti we are going to influence the parliament and we are going to extend the president's term beyond the constitutional requirements. That should have triggered widespread outrage. That should have led to protests in Zimbabwe. That should have seen Zimbabweans calling for resignations of even ziyambi. Ndiyaifana kutanga unza atidi kumuona ziyambi munhu angasingafanirwi kufamba kana muHarare. Munhu angasingafanirwi kudrive kana motikari yake achipinda chero kupi. Uyo itai citizenship arrest because this is a scandal that he is promoting. And how do we let such type of a minister free? And we must never let those people free. Pakangopedza kuverenga statement yake chete, that scandal, he should have triggered widespread outrage. The outrage should have led to protests. And those protests should have seen these politicians falling, resigning. But he is clinging on to the Ministry of Justice. Dear Minister of Justice, prompt justice, who must safeguard justice in our country. He is promoting injustice. He is promoting bastardization of a constitution of a country, the supreme law of a country. Bakomanaga, mukarega kusimuka, kana musina kutaura kuti ziyambi resign because of this. Ngagare ku ZANU, ngabude government. Ngagare ku ZANU PF, abude government. Hanzi kwani maiti mpinde mdanga nazi. I am saying he had a treasonous document. Read it at the ZANU PF conference, trying to influence a bastardization of our constitution. That is a scandal that should have triggered widespread outrage. That should have led Zimbabweans to go into the streets to protest, and that should have led Zimbabweans to call for Ziyambi resignation. Kana kuti Ziyambi atosungwa to face a criminal charge of whatever he said. That was illegal. But surprisingly, this scandal is met with apathy. You know, I'm being shocked. I'm shocked, ladies and gentlemen, that the scandal read in front of you has been met with this apathy, with the public looking disinterested or skeptical of the outcome. You guys, you've never raised issues. You look disinterested with the scandal. It's being read in front of you. In your newspapers, it's there. Mu radio zviri kubuda. Pa social media zviri tenderera. Kuti Ziyambi ari kuda kuita bastardize our constitution. It's tonyarara. Why are we quiet? I'm surprised with this level of public reaction. Quietness. Your reaction, ladies and gentlemen, should depend on a lot of several factors. There are a lot of factors that should have triggered your reaction, not this silence and rukunzwai. Your silence is deafening when a country's constitution is being bastardized. Because there is no severity of butchering of this constitution that will trigger you than what we are witnessing today. It is a clear misconduct of the Minister of Justice. If you guys don't take action now, if we don't, I'm not saying you guys, let me correct myself. If, including Shepherd Yuda, if we don't take action now, we've allowed this scandal to go whilst we are watching. As constitution Vision 2030. The problem with Geza, I have stated it. Someone called me from Botswana. I think I've put the notes down of this caller from Botswana when he was telling me certain issues. I am going to repeat what this guy stated. He called me from Botswana this afternoon, and he said he supports anything that makes ZANU PF system go. He said, if you listen very carefully to what General Geza is saying, he is saying if we remove Emmerson Mnangagwa, then General Chwenga must come in as a president. This caller said, if you go back to 2018, when people were shot, General Chwenga had said he wanted to crush the opposition center like lice. He wanted to crush the opposition center. He said his Chamisa is too young to run Zimbabwe and he must go kunofudza mbudzi. He said he wanted, all his actions is to instill fear in the people of Zimbabwe. Even at the inquest, he was there. People were looking at him, and some people were scared even to speak because they know the consequences after speaking. So for Geza to tell us that we must go into the streets, or Chamisa supported this. This is like unoza kusavene nehanya nevana veZimbabwe ndozvachitaurwa naKola zvikanzi izvozvi zvavakataura vana Geza kuti they've got the actual results of 2023 elections, they've got the actual results of 2018 elections. Hanzi ngaatangire pa2023 aburitse results acho aone kuti vanhu vanoreacta sei, because people knows the truth. The elections were rigged. But these guys, for them to say they've got the results, but they don't want to release them to the people. Vachingoti Pindaim Street, ndozvarambwa naKola. Arikutaura kuti there is no, as it is not proper for Nelson Chamisa to call for his supporters to go into the streets to back this idea of putting Emerson, of removing Emerson Mnangagwa and putting Chiwenga as president of Zimbabwe. And I'm not changing, because the ZANU PF system remains intact. And for you to muzobvisa Chiwenga wacho, it will take you ages. Munota 100 years, muri stuck in ZANU PF. This is what the caller said, a caller from Botswana. He said, Chiwenga na ED, they had their agreement in 2017. We were not there when these two people agreed, which is that their agreement. It's not proper for us now to fight on behalf of one function against the other function. There is a fallout in ZANU PF. Around their agreement, it's further strained by the idea that maybe Chiwenga is not benefiting from Zigananda. So this is what the caller said when he called from Botswana, and he is supporting kuti vachamisa ngavarambe vakanyarara nokuti avana chavo ipapa kana vakasimuka vakataura kuti masupporters angu ngatipindei muroad tibvise Mnangagwa. Anobva Mnangagwa munoisa Chiwenga, but did you change the system? Ndo zviri kurambwa nevanhu. Kana vageza vachinditeerera vachindinzwa, vanhu ndo zvavari kuda izvozvo. Hanzi results now, correct results for 2023. Hanzi ngoburitsai chete results iwayo munzwe kuti apro inoitika nevanhu inenge yakamira sei. Saka zvaita kuti ndidzoke kumashure of this presentation to say again what has been said by a caller from Botswana. I'm not going to name him, but ingozivai kuti this is what I received from Botswana. Saka ndakachitaura nenyaya yescandal kuti zvamuri kuona zviriitwa naZiyambi zvakangofanana neWillowgate scandal. When a Willowgate scandal occurred, Zimbabweans did not protest. They just kept quiet. When this Noxim scandal occurred, Zimbabweans did not protest. They just kept quiet. Now we've got a constitutional scandal being led by Ziyambi. We are silent. And this is a deafening silence from the public. Instead of us to stand up and condemn whatever Ziyambi stated, we are quiet. The severity of the bastardization of this constitution must not be downplayed. Because once this constitution has been bastardized, or this misconduct goes further, the prevailing climate, the prevailing looting climate or political climate, imagine it will continue beyond 2028. And imagine kutambura kwamuri kuita nhasi, if you go beyond 2028 nekutambura ikoko muchaita sei? Hanzi yes, toda results, we take it from there. Thank you ateteseka. Ndozvakachitaurwa naKola from Botswana. Anditi maona. Saka you will find kuti isusu makore atava anaya tine rombo rakanaka. Hatichamiriri ZBC to spread information. Hatichamiriri a newspaper to spread information. We have got social media today, which is playing a critical role in shaping our public opinion. What this brother was saying, I have distributed, or I have disseminated it to the whole world with the 40 people watching. Eventually, I've got 89 to 90,000 viewers on this page who eventually grasp whatever I've been saying. So, these online platforms which provide us a space or provide space for individuals to express their views. Is because of social media. We can organize a protest. We can share information, any information that anyone wants across the world, across the globe. We can share it here. Viral campaigns they can quickly we can quickly amplify a protest if we want. Vageza mukanzwa pavaitaura havana kupinda mustreet kunotaura, vakaenda pasocial media vakanotaura kuti ngatiitei zvakati. Andimona. So you find kuti even hurumende chacha at times vanodzima social media, kudzima wana Facebook, kudzima internet, because vanenge vachiziva kuti that can put pressure on them as politicians and the parties to respond. Saka patave nhasi vakomana taakuchemera vanhu vari kuparliament kuti muri kundinzwa ndiri pasocial media panapa, muri kundinzwa pafacebook. I am talking about what is happening in our country. There's a scandal yatiri kuona iri kuita unfold, the bastardization of our constitution in Zimbabwe. You guys are bound to respond. You must respond. Because kunyarara kwa makaita hakuna chakotibatsira guys. Social media yamuri kuona ika tongoingwarira zvedu, because most of the time mwana ndachiterera Temba Muliswa achitaura kuti hanzi valoi must resign. He went to say this on social media, and that is misinformation. Iri kubva kuna Temba Muliswa. Ma-partisan attacks are kuitwa na Temba Muliswa, which are making it difficult to discern facts from fiction. Zvana Temba is fiction. It's a way of diverting with the anger that people have of this bastardization of our constitution. Could imimi muite focus na baloi, muite focus na Chiwenga. Chiwenga is not saying anything. Makamuona akapfeka scarf achizotaura pamberi neZANU vamunangagwa 2030 woye. That is Chiwenga. Wacho wamuri kutaura kuti anofanirwa kuita president. Tapinda muroad, tabvisa Mnangagwa. Saka you find kuti let's have this public court of public opinion here. Vamwe they blame Nelson Chamisa. Do we need to blame Chamisa under these circumstances? We know Chamisa is a leader, but currently he's leading no organization. Can we blame him for whatever is happening in our country? Saka ndikutaura kuti court of public opinion ndo yaakushanda patasvika zuva ranhasi. Saka chandinoda kuti munzwisise, pane vamwe vanga vasipo vachangopinda izvozvi. Ndoda kuplaya I'm going to play audio yandamboplaya before I call it quits. Ameno vanonoka kuuya munogona kuzoteerera back zviripo. I'm going to play this audio yandoda kuti munzwisise vana vekuZimbabwe. I'm going to play this audio. The impact yechi what is the impact and effects of ZANU-PF unilateral change of the constitution to extend the term of the president of Zimbabwe. What are the implications of changing that constitution? Those are tauda kunzwa panapa. I'm going to play this and then we call it quits. Tozosangana pambera.
President's term would have serious political, economic, and social consequences for ordinary Zimbabweans and the nation as a whole. Impact and effect of ZANU-PF. What is the impact and effect of ZANU-PF's unilateral change of constitution to extend the term of the president on Zimbabweans? The unilateral change of Zimbabwe's constitution by ZANU-PF to extend the president's term would have serious political, economic, and social consequences for ordinary Zimbabweans and the nation as a whole. Here is a structured breakdown of the impacts and effects. 1. Political impact. Erosion of democracy and rule of law. A unilateral constitutional amendment bypasses public consent and parliamentary checks. It signals that the ruling party places power retention above constitutionalism. Citizens lose faith in democratic institutions such as parliament, the judiciary, and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Concentration of power and authoritarianism. Extending the president's term consolidates power in one individual or small elite group of corrupt oligarchies referred to as Zvigananda. This weakens accountability, invites abuse of state institutions, and silences dissenting voices within and outside ZANU-PF. Civil liberties, freedom of speech, assembly, and media face heightened repression, political instability, and resistance. Opposition parties and civic groups are likely to mobilize protests, leading to crackdowns and violence. The amendment could spark internal party divisions, as potential successors are sidelined. International condemnation may increase, isolating Zimbabwe further. 2. Economic impact. Investor confidence collapse. Investors see constitutional manipulation as a sign of political risk and instability. Capital flight and reduced foreign direct investment, FDI, are likely as investors fear policy unpredictability. The Zimbabwe dollar could depreciate further due to market panic, increased corruption, and state capture. Prolonged rule without accountability encourages the ruling elite to exploit state resources unchecked. Public funds may be diverted toward political survival, e.g., propaganda, patronage networks, security forces. Ordinary citizens face worsening poverty as public services deteriorate, decline in international aid and sanctions pressure. Western democracies and financial institutions, IMF, World Bank, may freeze re-engagement efforts. Aid may be redirected to NGOs rather than the government, limiting development programs. Zimbabwe's international reputation continues to sink, affecting trade and tourism. 3. Social impact. Public disillusionment and apathy. Citizens may lose hope in peaceful democratic change, leading to voter apathy and political disengagement. The born-free generation could see politics as a corrupt game controlled by the few. Brain drain intensifies. Skilled professionals and youth may emigrate in larger numbers, seeking better governance and opportunities abroad. This drains talent and innovation from the economy, worsening unemployment and poverty. Rising cost of living and social unrest. Economic mismanagement tied to political corruption fuels inflation, food shortages, and currency instability. Public protests may increase, met with heavy-handed responses from security forces. Trust between citizens and government deteriorates further. 4. Regional and international effects. Strained relations with the Southern African Development Community and African Union. Although regional bodies may initially remain silent, continued instability could pressure the Southern African Development Community to intervene diplomatically. Zimbabwe's image as a stable member of the region would suffer. Lessons for the region. Other African countries could view Zimbabwe's constitutional manipulation as a precedent, either to...
Right, ladies and gentlemen, manzwa zvangachitaurwa panapa. Zvangachitaurwa kuti I'll play this kana taakusvika kumapeto kweprogram yedu yanhasi. Hanzi manipulation of our constitution, it has got serious implications that we will face as Zimbabweans. First of all, we will face political implications, and we will face political implications. Second, economic implications. Third, social implications. So he was talking about the erosion of democracy in our country, because when the parliament and the judiciary is being controlled by Zvigananda, that we will see erosion of democracy. He was saying there is a regrouping of the corrupt elite who are directing the shots in Mnangagwa's government. There is crackdown in the violence that we are witnessing, because most of these hopefuls, they've been sidelined. So you will find kind of violence within the ZANU-PF, and the cracks will widen. So he was talking also about economy of the country, that the investment in our country will collapse because of the tampering with the constitution of the country. You will see again a depreciation or a depreciation of Zimbabwe dollar, takutakura zvimazigi zvezve mabillions kunotenga newspaper zvatamboita pakutanga. Corruption is rising in that country. Political survival will need to be funded as well. Ari maresults achabuda hawo anobuda kwazvakuenda akunobuda. Saka you will find that my resources enyika, they are all channeled to the propaganda. Like what I said during the group presentation, that look, the impact of this social, the impact of ZANU-PF infights or cracks are spilling into the nation, and they are affecting smooth running of the government. Even world financial institutions will be scared to help Zimbabwe. Since Zimbabwe, you know, Zimbabwe is a country with a sunken reputation. Zvakuitika is now zvekutatemba with the constitution, it will worsen the situation. Hanzi panguva yaMugabe zvaive zviri nani with what is gonna come to the people of Zimbabwe. And this guy looked into the social implications that as things stand now, those born frees, wakona politics as ordinary, as like daily survival. Is those ndo mararamira atakungoita mukoma yebi zviri sei mararamira atakungoita zvoti patosvika 2028 you will find kuti even there will be voter apathy, people won't go and vote because vari kuti hapana chinochinja andi muri kuona. So eventually a lot of people are forced to leave the country vachienda kune nyika dziri well governed. Kwauya kuna na UK tine mazanu-PF akazara munomu because it's a well governed country. Saka people will leave Zimbabwe. Hanzi vachabuda in millions as compared to what we did if the constitution of Zimbabwe is bastardized. Because at the moment, there is no employment, but this will worsen after the bastardization of our constitution. Public protests can be held, but will be met ruthlessly by the uniformed forces. Before public protests, vanhu vasa ende kunoprotesta. Muruza kuti zvataura nemufesa anofonera kuBotswana, mudara anofonera. Angaitaura kuti why Zimbabweans are not protesting? Why Zimbabweans are kupinda muroad? It's because vanageza varitaura kuti vada kuti kana Mnangagwa aenda vaise Chiwenga. Izvozvo vakutaura vanhu vemuZimbabwe, they've got bad memories of this Chiwenga. Saka they don't accept him. Saka muri kutarisa kuti even vana SADC chaivo nana AU, relationship yavo neZimbabwe is gonna be strained. Ladies and gentlemen, I think pazvasvika apa pakuda kunzwisisa naye kuti zviri kuitika muZimbabwe pane kutongoti chamisa naye adzazvifamba zvichida kukumana naye Zimbabwe manhero akanaka kumativi mana enyika kwezi.
His voice ever be they call me Wando. Zimbabwe youths are like some going with Shanky boy. Tell him man we are still one boy. The streets are calling. Protest, I say protest. Zimbabwe, you see me.
Protest now.
Time has come.
Constitution must be protected. Zimbabwe.
The time is now to
protest now.
Bad government house, we protest.
Azona Zimbabwe tikatarise constitution yenyika chipwanyiwa naye. We need to protest. Kuimba kwa mkoma Simba, one blood.
Others unemployed youth in protest. Protest. Zimbabwe, it's time now. Until when my brothers and sisters shall you watch helplessly, until when our day youths live daily hustling for chicken feet to feed families of pensioners who got robbed of their hard labor. Here's us every day we'll send one with no underwear. Pull away of victory or falls, the streets are calling you. Mama help me understand how Zimbabwean preachers and prophets abuse our faith, praying for us to wait for miracle while they sleep around with politicians. Certain protests they close on the regime dinner table. I'm not happy, they made us right our trouble. Sure they know our trouble is political. Liars like Walter Magaya telling us our problems are in his backpack to Israel. What a joke, Zimbabwe. Oh, I'm calling for protest. We don't dialogue. politicians. I'm calling for revolution. Constitution, let's rally and change our nation. Oh, my dear teachers, nurses and students, protest.
We're calling for a protest.
Time for protest. My heart bleeds for the young G-men in Zimbabwe. Our kids will ask us why they low to dig educate just elite criminals. They fight in our faces and we must lick lips, not this time we will protest. Dear nursing, yes, you really got sin and hearty kindly and courageous. God is in it, only when we started, we shall protest. Here our soldier is only your bosses. Who is there? Stand with us. Dear police and medical people, be ready to stand with the people. Protest we shall. These criminals must now know we are not scared. How many are there? We shall rise in the morning and flood the cities in protest. Zimbabweans, hear me. The time has come, the time is here. The streets are calling us, you and me. The time is now to protest. Bad governments out, we protest. Looting criminal ministers, smiles and ambassadors, we protest. Back to the basics, constitutionally, we protest. Others unemployed youths in protest. Oh, protest, protest. Zimbabwe, do we stand now?
Now or never, Zimbabweans need to protest. And ndokuimba kwa mkoma Simba wanna blow. And Zimbabweans, you need to protest now. The the public reaction to a political scandal can only be solved by protests, rally in guys in uniform. Some scandals, they should trigger a widespread outrage leading to protests. And Simba as it calls for resignation of Ziambi, the people of Zimbabwe now must start with Ziambi Buddha, because of the mutilation of Zimbabwe constitution. Zimbabwe is gone. Zimbabwe is gone. Once we stop protesting, once we stop Zimbabwe, unsurprisingly, this kind of cause an apartheid. When the public look disinterested in solving our issues in Zimbabwe, you guys must be protesting. Zimbabwe is your country. Go ahead. The level of public reaction in terms of this scandal, guys, it's surprising. The quietness of Zimbabweans, whilst Ziambi is mutilating the constitution of the country to disadvantage millions of Zimbabweans. We need to protest. We need to protest now. Ndokuimba kwa mkoma Simba kwakanaka naye. Let's salute Mkoma Shepherd Youth. Get it good night. Tichazodzoka zvedu neimwe program. But for now, let's salute Musara zvakanaka naye. Mwana weZimbabwe naye.
No respect for humanity. Fake pastors I made ambassadors to smuggle gold. Charlatans like a ransom. Hubert devil, nothing angelic about him. J. Israel and crew. Criminals with a Bible fake prayers so they can fool the evil regime. Oh, shameless musicians like Jah Praiser, Olivia, Gospel Mafia. You have no idea, it's broken to pieces. And Lutex prison officer shepherding you. Zimai, gift to Salos, I forget cold out. Our country is broken, stalling and torn apart.
And Ndokuimba kwa Mkoma Simba na hanzi, let's salute wana gift of Salos, wana Zimai, wana Mkoma Shepherd Youth, the former prison officer. Mosara zvakanaka naye. Kana pane mwana vachizoda ku phone number yangu is open, guys. Mukoma Caston Nyamaropa Zim Scout, phone number yangu is open. I've given Zimbabweans those who want to be on the program, Marim United Kingdom, you are welcome. Just give me a call. Ndokupa address and everything. We meet to discuss kuti zviri kuitika munyika yeZimbabwe vanenge vachingoda zvavo you are free for that. Saka chiregai ndi play for the last time our main audio for today kuti vanhu vanzwise kuti tiri kubva papi. What is the impact? What is the impact and effects of ZANU-PF unilateral change of the constitution to extend the term of the president? And impact yacho yakamira sei? Saka ngatinzwei ndobva ndati good night. Saka ndokusiyai muchinzwa naye.
Unilateral change of constitution to extend the term of the president on Zimbabweans. The unilateral change of Zimbabwe's constitution by ZANU-PF to extend the president's term would have serious political, economic, and social consequences for ordinary Zimbabweans and the nation as a whole. Here is a structured breakdown of the impacts and effects. 1. Political impact. Erosion of democracy and rule of law. A unilateral constitutional amendment bypasses public consent and parliamentary checks. It signals that the ruling party places power retention above constitutionalism. Citizens lose faith in democratic institutions such as parliament, the judiciary, and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Concentration of power and authoritarianism. Extending the president's term consolidates power in one individual or small elite group of corrupt oligarchies referred to as Zvigananda. This weakens accountability, invites abuse of state institutions, and silences dissenting voices within and outside ZANU-PF. Civil liberties, freedom of speech, assembly, and media face heightened repression. Political instability and resistance. Opposition parties and civic groups are likely to mobilize protests, leading to crackdowns and violence. The amendment could spark internal party divisions, as potential successors are sidelined. International condemnation may increase, isolating Zimbabwe further. 2. Economic impact. Investor confidence collapse. Investors see constitutional manipulation as a sign of political risk and instability. Capital flight and reduced foreign direct investment, FDI, are likely as investors fear policy unpredictability. The Zimbabwe dollar could depreciate further due to market panic. Increased corruption and state capture. Prolonged rule without accountability encourages the ruling elite to exploit state resources unchecked. Public funds may be diverted toward political survival, e.g., propaganda, patronage networks, security forces. Ordinary citizens face worsening poverty as public services deteriorate. Decline in international aid and sanctions pressure. Western democracies and financial institutions, IMF, World Bank, may freeze re-engagement efforts. Aid may be redirected to NGOs rather than the government, limiting development programs. Zimbabwe's international reputation continues to sink, affecting trade and tourism. 3. Social impact. Public disillusionment and apathy. Citizens may lose hope in peaceful democratic change, leading to voter apathy and political disengagement. The born-free generation could see politics as a corrupt game controlled by the few. Brain drain intensifies. Skilled professionals and youth may emigrate in larger numbers, seeking better governance and opportunities abroad. This drains talent and innovation from the economy, worsening unemployment and poverty. Rising cost of living and social unrest. Economic mismanagement tied to political corruption fuels inflation, food shortages, and currency instability. Public protests may increase, met with heavy-handed responses from security forces. Trust between citizens and government deteriorates further. 4. Regional and international effects. Strained relations with the Southern African Development Community and African Union. Although regional bodies may initially remain silent, continued instability could pressure the Southern African Development Community to intervene diplomatically. Zimbabwe's image as a stable member of the region would suffer. Lessons for the region. Other African countries could view Zimbabwe's constitutional manipulation as a precedent, either to copy or to avoid. Democratic norms in Southern Africa may weaken if such actions go.
The impact kuti constitution ikaitwa bastardize, what will happen to Zimbabwe? That will be the end of a country. Tinenge tisina nyika mu Zimbabwe, and the ordinary Zimbabweans will suffer. Saka manzo ndachidaidzira kuti protest nai kuti zvinhu tigare zvakanaka vakomana munyika medu. Amen. Kuti vamwe vari kuzvinzwa sei, because Zimbabwe is gone, ladies and gentlemen. Zimbabwe is gone. Inyika yaparara, haichasimuki. Tikaita zvekutamba kwayakuenda uko. We need to protest, Zimbabweans. Good night. Mosara zvakanaka nai. From Simba, one blow. Musician nai. Hanzi Ndiana akaimba. Akaimbwa namukoma Simba, one blow. You can still find him on YouTube. Muchinda wacho akantaura zvikanzi mukoma Shepherd. I'm giving you these songs. You can utilize them whatever you want, but please don't sell them. I don't sell these songs. Vanenge vachimada, just send a hi kunonzi kuchi ku WhatsApp yangu, then ndobva ndakusenderai masongs sekuuya kwawakaita kwandiri naye. Ndo replace Drihora.
Youths in protest, others unemployed youths in protest. Oh, protest, protest. Zimbabwe, it's time now. Until when my brothers and sisters, shall we watch helplessly? Until when our day youths live daily hustling for chicken feet to feed families of pensioners who got robbed of their hard labor. Years of service, they will send one with no underwear. Pull away, victory or falls, the streets are calling you. Mama, help me understand how Zimbabwean preachers and prophets abuse our faith, praying for us to wait for miracle while they sleep around with politicians. Certain that they close on the regime dinner table. I'm not happy, they made us right our trouble. Shit, they know our trouble is political. Lawyers like Walter Magaya telling us our problems are in his backpack to Israel. What a joke, Zimbabwe. Oh, I'm calling for protest. We don't die alone with criminal politicians. I'm calling for revolution, constitution, let's rally and change our nation. Oh, my dear teachers, nurses and students, protest. Protest. Time for protest. My heart bleeds for the young G-men in Zimbabwe. Our kids will ask us why they low to dig education, select criminals. They fought in our faces and we must lick lips, not this time. We will protest. The nursing, yes, you got sin and heartily and courageous. God is in it, only when we start it, we shall protest. Here our soldier is only your bosses. Who is there? Stand with us. Dear police and medical people, be ready to stand with the people. Protest we shall. These criminals must now know we are not scared. How many are there? We shall rise in the morning and flood the cities in protest. Zimbabwe, hear me. The time has come, the time is here. The streets are calling us, you and me. The time is now to protest. Oh, bad government out, we protest. Looting criminal ministers, smiles and ambassadors, we protest. Back to the basics, constitutionality, we protest. Others unemployed youths in protest. Oh, protest.